are far too many miracles for me to really list them all in under 3 minutes. But so many times where I can see that I was given extra strength and even clarity of mind. There's been so many miracles with my business that I could run and grow a business that allows me to financially support my family, but also gives me this flexibility to care for my 4 children. All of those things, so amazing.
I attended the very first Widow and Widower Conference in a tiny little chapel, a rock chapel up off of Highway 89. And I don't remember exactly how I heard about the conference, but I knew that I needed to be there.
The miracle I witnessed after becoming a widower is when I attended the 2018 Widower Conference at BYU. I've always been close to the veil. I've always been able to tell when family and friends are close by that have passed. The miracle I witnessed was the opening hymns, the hymn that everyone sang. There was about 500 of us. But in my mind's eye, and everything I witnessed, I heard angels singing. I saw angels. I saw Lori. I saw all of our loved ones who had passed. They were singing along with us. I've never witnessed anything like that before, and I haven't witnessed anything like that after. But they were there with us for that whole conference. She's watching over my daughter and watching over us.
And I was widowed 8 years ago. I was 36 years old and I had 6 children that were 3 to 15 years old. I fast forwarded a couple of years, found myself getting married, thought I found my awesome chapter 2, and it turned out to be a sham of a marriage.
My late wife passed away, and I was struggling to figure out what to do next. I was added to the Facebook Widow and Widowers group, and then I heard about the conference in May. So I decided that after feeling the promptings of the Spirit, that's where I should be. So I made plans and I made the trip out from Florida to Utah.
The first blessing is the blessing of friendships that I've built in this community of widows. There are so many awesome, amazing people that I've grown so close to. We've had fun together, we've cried together, we've partied hard, and we're always there for each other in the hard times. I'm so grateful for them. They have been a strength in my life the last 7 years.
And I think the miracle I want to focus on the most is probably the miracle before he passed away, because it kind of goes into a bunch of different miracles. Before he passed away, we had the opportunity to do an addition on our house. I have a bigger family, and I needed room. Like whenever we ate dinner, we'd have to take our table down onto the carpet to eat, and then we'd put it back up into the kitchen, and there just was never enough room. And so I was like, hey, let's, we have the opportunity to do this. Let's do it. You can see the safe there behind me. So I said, let's incorporate a safe into this addition. And man, he had that thing laid out, and within like 3 weeks, we were digging the trenches to do the footings. And he ended up passing away just after we did the footings and laid down the gravel for the concrete to come in. And so it was to the point of no return. I had to finish this project. And we did all of that addition part, and then we finished the rest of the remodel just like this last November, December time. And it's complete. And I feel so blessed that he was so proactive. And I don't know if it was because of the safe, and it could have been, but he was so proactive in getting it done. And I have my family, my kids, my grandkids. I can come over and enjoy the space and being able to like be together in this, like, I feel like my house is holy. And that is a miracle, to be able to have that, to be able to raise my kids and raise my grandkids and like my neighbors and have people here. So there you have it. That is my miracle. One of my miracles. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful that I've had to have this trial to make me stronger. And it certainly has, so there's my miracle.
I'm going to rent out my basement, and so I decided to turn it into a full kitchen. I was gonna buy cabinets, and my sister said, "You don't need very many. Wonder if you could find a few on KSL and it could work." I decided to look, and 16 minutes earlier, some cabinets had been posted. We measured, and it looked like it would work. So I went and got them, and they were not the same color. A little while later, my friend texted me and asked if there was anything she could do to help me. I asked her if she knew anything about painting or staining cabinets. She said she'd done both. She invited me to go walking with her the next morning. I went over there, and her friend that she walks with said that she's done lots of wood projects and she had some stains we could try. She had 10 different stains. Opened the 9th can, put it on the lighter door, and it looked very similar. So I decided, well, let's try it. So I tried it, and long story short, this is not perfect, but I just had my cabinets installed, and for $500, I have gotten the kitchen cabinets, and now I'm going to paint the walls.
I decided I was gonna just make friends, and I happened to see him on the pickleball court, went up to him, and of course, one of the first things he said was,
"I'm not dating. I'm not going to get remarried. I'm just here to make friends."
and I said, great, because A, he lived in Florida, way too far. That's 2,000 miles. I'm not going to do that. And he was on the older age of my age range for dating anyway. So I was like, not a problem. And at that point, he had a big old nasty bushy beard. And I was like, 3 strikes, man. This is great. We can just be friends. We started talking.
And we kept talking.
Miracle
1. Miracle 2 is I've overcome the fear. I've overcome fear. In 2020, as the world was burning, I prayed that God would take away my fear. And I don't fear anything. Enough to the point that I drive on the freeway. And there was a time when I wouldn't have done that with my wife alive. I don't like driving the freeway, but I got over it. I overcame that fear. And the fear of those working against me. I do my best.
The miracle that I most appreciate since becoming a widow is just that I am okay. My husband Joseph got sick with COVID in March of 2021. He was just 39 years old. He was healthy as far as I knew. He was a runner. COVID made him really, really sick. And then over a period of 5 months, he was in the hospital the whole time. He lost his fight with COVID complications. While he was still in the hospital, and when I could tell that things weren't looking good and that he was probably going to die, I got a blessing from my bishop. I was hoping when I got the blessing to hear something like that Joseph would miraculously recover, or that if he did die, that there would be really good things waiting for me, like maybe even like a new husband. But in that blessing, it simply said that I would be okay no matter the outcome. And Joseph?
A miracle that I have experienced. It involves my youngest son, Tyson, who at the end of his senior year, my wife passed at the beginning of his senior year. And he was trying to decide whether to serve a mission or not. He had gone out to the gravesite quite often to just be there. And he said he'd sit there and talk to his mom. He said one time that he just felt overwhelmed with the idea of serving a mission, and was just making the statement that, you know, he just wasn't sure he could do that he could leave his friends, that he could leave his girlfriend at the time, and just go to distant wherever he would be sent. And he wasn't sure if that was something he could do, and he was really stressing over it. And in that moment, he felt a hand on his shoulder and heard her voice tell him that, basically saying, "Tyson, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. You'll know what to do. You'll be fine. You're okay."
During that first year, I really didn't feel okay much. I felt hopeless. I felt like parenting my kids alone and figuring out how to take care of our financial needs was just too much for me. But help came. I was blessed with a good advisor, the means to be able to continue to stay home, and family and neighbors that supported me. I dealt with difficult things. A lot of the things that you guys all described, like widow's fire, hopeless feelings that I would never marry again, and significant anxiety and some depression. I started seeing a therapist. I started exercising a lot, taking one night a week away from the kids to go dancing, and working with a doctor to help treat the anxiety and depression that I felt. Today, things are still hard, but I am okay. Sometimes I wonder if marriage will ever be right for me and for my family, and I don't really know the answer, but I am okay. I'm learning to manage my finances and my home, and so far, I am okay. So, okay didn't sound like what I wanted back when I heard it during that priesthood blessing, but now I'm thankful for it. And to me, that is a miracle, just to be thankful and to feel like life is okay. Life is okay even the way that it is.
One day, I went to the temple and I was prompted to look at his late wife, Debbie's Facebook page, and I happened to go there and noticed that she had a mutual friend named Jeremy who had a very close connection to me and my late husband. So I stopped in my tracks and I wondered how she knew him. And I called him up and he said,
Jeremy was the missionary who baptized my late wife.
The third thing is all my life I've dealt with severe anxiety. In my third year of dealing with the death of my wife, I dealt with severe anxiety. Through the power of prayer, God took away my anxiety with one prayer. It's like a weight was lifted off me.
And my miracle happened right after my husband, Jason, passed away. A few weeks before he died, I all of a sudden got a bee in my bonnet about getting a mother's ring. So I wanted to design my ring so that my husband wouldn't get it wrong. So I designed the ring, ordered it, and it came. And I didn't look at it. I handed him the box and said, "This is to be my Mother's Day present. So give it to me for Mother's Day." He said, okay. He took the box, he put it somewhere. He passed away on May 2nd, which is about a week before Mother's Day. And I realized that I did not know where that ring was. And I was upset about that. And so I looked and I looked and I looked, and my sister even came and looked, and we could not find it. And I remember sitting down on the bed in frustration and just crying and so upset because I could not find this ring and I just really needed it. And as I sat down, I said right out loud, I said, "Jason, where is it?" And immediately I had the thought to go look in his sock drawer, which I had looked in before, and so had my sister. And there it was right on top. And that was a miracle I needed to let me know that my husband was right there with me, even though I couldn't see him, and it brought me a lot of comfort. And I absolutely love my mother's ring.
He didn't make the decision right in that moment, but after a short time of considering everything else, he did finally make the decision to serve a mission. And he's currently on a mission. And it's been the greatest blessing for him and for me and for the family, for this experience that he's had. And it's all thanks to that little miracle influence. He got up and shared this experience in his in a testimony before he left. And I remember just feeling that immense sense of, we're still a team. She and I are still working together to raise our kids, and she's doing what she can to help. And it was very special. I remember that, just that feeling of we're still working together as a couple for our kids.
And I realized that even though I thought I had plans, Heavenly Father knows more. And I realized that I needed to trust more in the Lord, more in His timing, more in His purposes, and more in the meaning that what I'm supposed to do in my life needs to be what He wants me to do in my life. And I wanted to fight everything that was going on here. And eventually, we both decided to throw caution to the wind, and we decided to let God lead us. And we've been married for 4 months now. The miracles that have taken place to bring us to this point are still being discovered and still being counted. God knows us better than we know ourselves, and He knows better what we need for us to be able to be the best version of ourselves. And sometimes it doesn't look like what we imagine it to be like.
I thought I had a plan. I thought I knew where I was going to do, why I was going to do it. And one thing that really resounded to me is a quote from President Benson many years ago, when he said, "Men and women who turn their lives over to God will find that He can make more out of them than they can." After my wife died, I decided that's what I was going to live by. I was going to let God lead me. And every step along the way in our friendship, which turned to a courtship, was led by God. And I know the miracles are beyond number that put her in my path and allowed me to recognize that this was the miracle, a great miracle in my life.
I had people around me that really knew and understood on a very personal level what I was going through. So that was a huge blessing to me, and it continues to be a huge blessing to me in my life. So
I'm grateful for this group. I know the gospel is true. I know this group helps. I know that God lives and loves us. I know heaven is real, because I have felt my wife's presence on many occasions, and they're up there waiting for us, cheering us on as we go through our trials down here on earth.
More than anything, as I've thought about this, the greatest miracle I would say in my life has been that I can sit here today and say with surety that I have never been happier and never have felt the same kind of joy and peace that I really do in my life now. That's not to say there aren't hard days. I have moments, right? But that overall assurance, that rock solid assurance that the Lord is aware of me and loves me, and that His plan for me and my family is ultimately what's best for us. That's a true miracle, and that I could feel this joy in my life. I don't even say despite, I would say because of some of these great trials that have come with being widowed. That is a true miracle.